Good evening and welcome to Just the News, where we give you all of the information about what happened in the country today. Let's get straight to it. India recorded 3,29,942 fresh COVID cases in the last 24 hours as of Tuesday morning 8 a.m. Now this number is down from the 4 lakh cases we had been reporting a few days ago, according to official government data. Now the government has said that this is an early trend of a decline, seen that new cases and deaths in the country are coming down. This might be an early sign that the devastating second wave of COVID might be on a decline in some parts of the country. Although there are 13 states in the country where active cases are more than 1 lakh at this point, the government has said that states like Uttar Pradesh, Maharashtra, Delhi, Chhattisgarh are among the 18 states and union territories that are showing plateauing or decrease of numbers of new COVID cases. In the meantime, Karnataka, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, West Bengal and Punjab are among 16 other states and union territories that are showing a continued increasing trend of new COVID cases. According to the Wall Street Journal, the WHO has classified the virus strain in India as likely to be a variant of concern for the world, because initial studies show that it's more transmissible than others. WHO has not said that the variant is resistant to vaccines right now. The variant has apparently, according to the WHO, spread to more than 30 countries, including the US, the UK, France and Japan. This classification by the WHO might result in further travel bans from India. Dr. Soumya Swaminathan, who is the WHO chief scientist, in an interview has said, and I quote, "At this point, it's very hard to suppress because it involves tens of thousands of people and it's multiplying at a rate that's very difficult to stop." She added that the variant strain alone is not the reason behind the surge in India and blamed huge social mixing and large gatherings as well. Swaminathan also said that vaccinations was not enough to rein in the outbreak in India, as it would take months, if not years, to vaccinate 70 to 80% of the country's entire population of more than 130 crore people. Now, there are several concerns over people who do not have access to the internet or who are illiterate or who are too old to understand how to register themselves on the CoWIN portal. The Supreme Court, in fact, questioned the central government today, asking if either central government or state governments had introduced any initiatives to ensure that these people who don't have access to digital resources are able to register themselves. These digital resources obviously are mandatory in order to register on the COVID digital app. Now, while defending its decision to continue using the online portal for registration, the central government said citizens who don't have access to the CoWIN app can get assistance from common service centers established at Gram Panchayats at the grassroots level. It also said people can take help from their friends, families, and from NGOs as well. In the meantime, there is a Twitter storm on from groups of citizens calling for vaccinations to be provided to everyone, saying Aadhaar and CoWIN registrations should not be made necessary in order to get a vaccination. Also, this comes after reports of internet-savvy young people from Mumbai, Delhi and Bengaluru booking slots in rural areas outside these cities, driving out to those rural areas and getting vaccinated, effectively depriving the people in those rural areas of those vaccine supplies, given that they don't have access to high-speed internet or the CoWIN portal. Also, in the Delhi High Court today, the central government opposed a plea before the High Court seeking to halt construction activities on its PECT Central Vista development project. Now, in an affidavit that the central government gave and submitted before the Delhi High Court, it said that the ongoing construction near Rajpath and India Gate is not related to the new Parliament building. It is in fact public amenities, new toilet blocks, parking spaces and pedestrian underpasses that it is building. The affidavit also said construction workers are following COVID protocols. It is submitted, and I quote, "In the meantime," this is what the central government said, "a COVID-compliant facility has been installed in the work site to accommodate the 250 workers who have expressed their willingness to stay put and continue working." The affidavit also questioned the intention of the petitioners who have brought this case before the Delhi High Court, saying, and I quote, The very fact that out of all the construction activities that the Delhi Development Authority and Public Works Department are currently undertaking, the petitioner has chosen to be, in inverted commas, public-spirited citizens only with regard to this one project, it speaks volumes about his intentions and his motives behind filing the petition, that too suppressing all the facts, end quote. In the meantime, while criticizing the Central Vista project, Congress leader Priyanka Gandhi has said that the expenditure of the project of over 20,000 crore rupees should have been used to procure at least 62 crore vaccines. The Uttarakhand High Court pulled up the government for its inability to prepare for and deal with the second wave of COVID in the state. The bench observed, and I quote, "Despite the fact that in January 2021, the scientific community kept on warning about a second wave, the state paid no attention. Even though the state had been reeling under the pandemic for the last 1.5 years, there seems to be a lack of planning by the state to deal with the pandemic. Unfortunately, for certain mistakes committed and negligence shown, the COVID pandemic has taken orangutan proportions in the state and the nation." The court also noted that despite Haridwar being the epicenter of COVID for Uttarakhand, there wasn't a single government lab there. And due to insufficient labs all across the state, 4,000 samples from Dehradun, 2,000 from Haridwar and Nainital are yet to be analyzed. The Advocate General S.N. Babulkar, who represents the state government, said the state's measures to protect health are subject to its financial limitations, effectively arguing that the state doesn't have enough money. To this, the court said, and I quote, "In case of calamity and disaster, the state cannot say that it does not have funds. Every last penny of the exchequer must be devoted to protecting the lives of people. It is the foremost duty of the state to protect the lives of people, and therefore it has to give every single drop of its strength and every single penny of its finances to protecting its people," end quote. Again, unfortunately, as I do every day, the next few stories will come with a disclaimer that they will be distressing for those of our viewers who are already experiencing anxiety. It makes sense for you to stop watching the video now. 11 people allegedly died of oxygen shortage in Andhra Pradesh's Tirupati city. Andhra Pradesh's Chief Minister Jagan Mohan Reddy has ordered an inquiry into the matter. The Chittoor district collector has said that as of now, 11 patients have died. Treatment is ongoing for the remaining patients in the hospital. The incident took place at 8:30 p.m. because of low pressure of medical oxygen. Several COVID patients were on ventilators. Pressure was reduced hardly for 5 minutes. Meanwhile, an oxygen tanker came, but before the hospital authorities could set it up, we lost 11 patients, end quote. The Kerala Chief Minister has written to the Prime Minister saying the state cannot spare any more oxygen because they have already given up their buffer stock to neighbouring states and are now left with only 86 metric tons as a buffer. He said Kerala is currently recording 4,02,640 active cases. The number is projected to go up to 6 lakh cases by the 15th of May. In the view of rapidly growing numbers in the state will need 450 metric tons of oxygen and hence cannot spare any more. Deputy Chief Minister of Delhi, Manish Sisodia, has said the central government has given the state only 3.5 lakh vaccine doses this month for the month of May, whereas the Delhi government asked for 1.34 crore doses. He said the centre has decided that in April, states should directly place orders. The Delhi government ordered 1.34 crore doses for people between the 18 to 44 age group, but the central government has written to them saying Delhi can only have 3.5 lakh doses. Instead, he said he also accused the central government of selling vaccines overseas while people are dying in the country. In the meantime, Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal has said the 500-bed facility in the city's Guru Tej Bahadur Hospital is now active, so there will be no shortage of ICU beds or oxygen beds in Delhi anymore. He said corona cases are going down in Delhi, so is the second wave. With your cooperation, the lockdown has also been successful. We've increased the number of oxygen beds, so there should be no more shortage. Aaditya Thackeray, Maharashtra's Tourism and Environment Minister, has been quoted saying that Mumbai's civic body, the BMC, is exploring the possibility of procuring vaccines globally. Now, this comes after Mumbai has reported a sharp shortage in vaccine stock meant for the 18 to 44 age group and category. The Maharashtra government has also said it will now divert the Covaxin stock meant for the 18 to 44 category to people who need their second dose. Now, Covaxin is the vaccine manufactured by Bharat Biotech. This is the one where the maximum amount of shortage is being reported in the state of Maharashtra. The Health Minister of Maharashtra has said that only 35,000 doses are currently available with the state government, and so they'll use it to give people their second dose. The 45 plus age group will get their second dose. Effectively, what they've done is they suspended the vaccination of 18 to 44 age group only of the Covaxin vaccination from Bharat Biotech. In the meantime, Mumbai and Maharashtra are both reporting a decline in daily cases. As of today, Mumbai reported 1,717 new cases in the day. Now, this is the second straight day in which Mumbai has reported less than 2,000 cases, a sharp drop from 8,000 cases a day it was reporting in the beginning of April. But I must note here that Mumbai has conducted 28,000 tests across the city. This is also lower from the 45,000 tests it was conducting some time ago. The Chennai city has decided to address queries on the lockdown, and the police have set up 24-hour help desks that will run for the next 14 days starting the 10th of May, alongside the lockdown announced by the state government until the 24th of May. During this lockdown, public transport has been suspended. Private vehicles will not be allowed to ply at all except for emergencies. Cabs and autos prohibited. Grocery shops will only function till noon. Tamil Nadu has reported 28,000 cases and 232 deaths. Also, another quick wrap of the other lockdowns that have been announced. Chandigarh has extended its corona curfew until the 18th of May. Chandigarh reported 863 COVID cases and 7 deaths. Nagaland has announced a 7-day lockdown from the 14th of May. Existing restrictions will continue to be in place. New SOP will also be issued. Nagaland has reported 133 cases and 10 deaths. Telangana has announced a 10-day lockdown from the 10th of May. Telangana reported 4,000 cases and 32 deaths in the last 24 hours. Now, following reports of cases of children who have been orphaned because both of their parents have passed away due to COVID, the Maharashtra government has decided to form a special task force in every district for it. This is according to a report in the Hindustan Times. The task force will include the collector, the commissioner of civic body, the police chief, rural health officials, etc., who will then make sure that there are no children who are abandoned in any of these districts. We've also uploaded a video both on the YouTube page and on the Instagram page on what you can do if you come across such a case. There is a national helpline number for children. It is 1098. That's the number to call first and to alert authorities about the fact that there is a child who needs caring for. Looking at news right now away from COVID, taking a look at business news to begin with. According to an RTI, and this is a report in the Mint, the newspaper, as many as 2,118 branches of 10 public sector banks have either been closed or merged with other banks in the last fiscal. Bank of Baroda has the highest number, which is 1,283. The government consolidated 10 PSU banks into 4. So 10 banks have been made into 4 banks in the last financial year, bringing down the number of government banks to 12. Now, the All India Bank Employees Association General Secretary has said the dip in the number of public sector banks is not in the interest of the banking industry or the domestic economy. Taking a look at news coming in from around the world right now, Israeli armed forces stormed the Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem, and more than 300 Palestinians were injured in that raid. In retaliation, Hamas, which is the militant group that runs Gaza, fired dozens of rockets at Israel. Israel responded with an airstrike in which 20 Palestinians, including 9 children, have been killed and over 100 have been injured. But to give you a background as to how this happened, now Palestinians have been protesting for several days over the eviction of 4 Palestinian families from the East Jerusalem neighborhood called Sheikh Zara. Now, these families have been living in homes that have been constructed for them by the UN Refugee Works Agency back in 1957. Protesters have been clashing with the Israeli police because of a court decision that now says they have to leave those homes. To give you a very quick history lesson, when the State of Israel was created out of historic Palestine back in 1948, there were thousands of people who had to leave their homes. Of these people, some families, 28 families, moved to a neighborhood called Sheikh Zara in East Jerusalem, which was at that time controlled by Jordan. Now, Jordan and the UN Refugee Agency built homes for these families. After that, in 1967, Israel captured East Jerusalem from Jordan, and these families were asked to leave, and that's a dispute that has gone on until recently, when a central court in East Jerusalem upheld the decision that these families, 4 specific families, will have to leave their homes. Now, this has led to protests, clashes with the police, after which a raid at the mosque, and then air raids in which people and children have been killed. In Malaysia, a third wave of COVID has led to a national lockdown until the 7th of June. The Malaysian Prime Minister has said the country is facing a third wave of the pandemic, which can trigger a national crisis. As of the 10th of May, Malaysia's daily COVID cases extended 4,000. Taking a look at the world of sports right now, Ashley Giles, the managing director of the England and Wales Cricket Board, has said that England's centrally contracted players, including Ian Morgan, Ben Stokes and Joss Butler, are likely to miss the remainder of the IPL 2021 if and when it is scheduled, because they have no more room in their international calendar. Remember, the BCCI has stressed repeatedly that the IPL, the remainder of the event, has only been postponed and not cancelled. But it has also said that the potential window to hold the remaining of the tournament is before the T20 World Cup in October. However, England is scheduled to tour Bangladesh and Pakistan in that window and will also be preparing for the T20 World Cup, so they do not have the time to participate. Well, one piece of positive information before we leave you for today. Restaurants and eateries obviously in Kerala are in a lockdown, and so the stray dogs are apparently going hungry. But Sub-Inspector Subramaniam PS of the Nimom police station has decided to start feeding the dogs. Apparently he's a vegetarian, but that doesn't stop him from arranging meat for the dogs as well. And when he's off duty, he makes sure his colleagues feed the dogs. And according to the New Indian Express, not only does he feed the dogs, he also cleans up after them after they're done eating. All right, leaving you on that note, remember, stay home and stay safe. If you have any questions or suggestions for us, leave it for us in the comment section. Also, leave us a thumbs up or a hug emoji. It helps us, give us the energy to work harder. Thank you so much for watching. Good night.